Hello, guys. Welcome to my YouTube channel, Learn Psychology with Sajad Ahmed, with a new and interesting video. And that is about behaviorism school of thought. Okay, you are right. After watching this video, you will learn about the founder of the behavioristic school of thought. And number first point, number second, you will learn about why the behaviorism was founded. And you will also learn that which ideas were specifically rejected by behaviorism. Then you will learn what is the goal of behaviorism school of thought. Okay, when you learn this point, then you will learn about the principles of the behaviorism set by the Watson. Okay, J.B. Watson. And then in the final section you will learn about the contribution of the behaviorism school of thought to the field of psychology. And last, I'm going to tell you a famous saying which is often cited by the educationist and other people of Watson. Okay, the famous saying of the Watson. And what's that famous saying? For this, you stay tuned with us up to the final section of this video, and I will tell you the famous saying of the Watson. Okay, so let's go further. Number first, these are the points. Let me repeat it. Behaviorism, definition of behaviorism, about a founder, about why the behaviorism was founded, which idea was specifically rejected, what is the goal of behaviorism, what are the principles of behaviorism set by the Watson, and what are the contribution of the behaviorism school of thought, and a famous saying of the Watson. Okay, so let's start. Number first, behaviorism. Behaviorism is a school of thought which emerged in the time when the functionalism school of thought was declining in America, in Europe. At that time in America, the behavioristic school of thought emerged, and this school of thought, as the name suggests, behaviorism exclusively study the behavior of the behavior of the organism, including animals and human beings. And from the behavioristic point of view, behavior is a response of organism to the stimulus. Behavior is a response of organism to the stimulus. Okay, let me underline the definition. Behavior is a response of organism to the stimulus. Behavior is a response of organism to the stimulus. And in behaviorism school of thought, not only the human behavior is included in the scope of psychology, but the animal behavior as well. And the aim of psychology is not only to study the behavior of human, but also to predict the behaviors and to control it. To predict and control it. Okay? Then let's go and learn about who founded the behaviorism school of thought. So, as you see on your screen, and the bold letters, and that is J.B. Watson. You are right, guys. The behavioristic school of thought was founded by the American psychologist J.B. Watson. J.B. Watson. And let me encircle the name for you people. This is J.B. Watson. Remember, guys, J.B. Watson, the person who founded the behaviorism school of thought. Okay. Now let's go to the next point, and that is why the school of thought was founded. So the answer is the school of thought was founded as a revolt against the whole existing psychology. Specifically, the Watson rejected the consciousness and the mind as a subject of matter of psychology. Why? Because he wanted to make psychology as a truly objective science. From the 2 points which I have told you in the previous video, that were the structuralism and the functionalism. The psychology was a bit subjective science, and J.B. Watson, which founded the school of thought, made it a truly objective science. And according to the Watson, the functionalism or the behavior of the person could not only be observed, but it could be measured and could be predicted. And if we could, and according to him, if we become able to predict the behavior of an animal, of an organism, then we can control that behavior as well. So then go to the next point, and that is the goal of behaviorism. What is the goal of behaviorism? The goal of the behaviorism is to study the behavior. Point number past is to study the behavior. Okay, number past is to study the behavior and then to predict the behavior, and number three is to control the behavior. These 3 points, these three are the number one, to study the behavior, number two, to predict the behavior, and number three is to control the behavior, are the basic goal of behaviorism school of thought, Okay, guys, now let's come another point. What he learned from the research of on animals. What he mean Watson. What Watson learned from the research on animals. So from his animal research, he came to know that introspection was useless method. Because why? Because the animal could not tell about the what is going on in his mind and their mind and the mind of the animal. But apart from this, he became aware that he could study the animal behavior without introspection and without any reference to the conscious. And he grew convinced that the observation and objective account of the human behavior were not only possible but highly desirable. Highly desirable. So from the experiment, from the research on the animal, came to know, he came to the conclusion that the human behavior were not only possible to observe, but it is possible to predict and to control, and it is a highly desirable point to be studied. Okay, let's go to the next point, and that are the principle of behaviorism. Okay, so what are the principle of behaviorism? That is in this slide. Number first is the definition of psychology. As I already told you guys, the definition of psychology from behavioristic perspective is to study the behavior, and behavior mean which is the reaction of organism to the stimulus, and not only the human but the animal behavior is to be included in the scope of psychology. Is the in the previous uh, in the previous period and the previous classes, I told you that the scope of psychology only include to study the human, but the J.B. Watson and his team members did his experiments on the animals, and get and detected many many principles and many things from their experiment that could be applied in the on the human uh, and the human being, especially in the field of learning. So the aim of psychology is not only to describe the behavior, but to predict and control it. So these three are the basic point. Behavior, mean which is the reaction of organism to the stimulus, and animal behavior should be included in the scope of psychology. And the aim of psychology is not only to describe behavior, but to predict and control it is also the aim of psychology. Okay, 3 points. Remember it. Number first is what is the what is behavior. So the behavior of organism is the reaction of the organism to the stimulus. And number 2 point, the human behavior, not only study, not only to be studied the human behavior, but animal behavior also be included in the scope of psychology. And number third is the aim of psychology is not only to describe the behavior, but to predict and control it. Okay guys, so let's go to the next. But remember one thing, and that is subscribe my channel. I shall be very thankful to you. Okay, guys. So method. The method of J.B. Watson. So number first one, introspection was totally rejected by the Watson in behaviorism school of thought, and they declared that scientifically the method of introspection is worthless, and that's how they entirely eliminated that. And so what was the method? Objective method. Uh, they they take a new method, and that was objective method of observation and measurement alone were admitted is the mean of providing valid data. Valid data. Objective method of observation and measurement alone were admitted is the mean of providing valid data. Mean that the valid data could only be get from the objective method of observation and measurement alone. Okay, so then come the third principle, and that was the stimulus response bond. So according to the behavioristic school of thought, all the behaviors, either they are overt or covert behavior, they are all the response to a stimulus. And the complex behavior is composed of the stimulus response units or reflexes. So the complex behavior that an organism show, they are all the response units. They are all made from the responses they produce to the specific stimulus, and that response units are also known as reflexes. Okay, guys. Then come the fourth principle, and that is the learning. This area has been the central in all behaviorism. Later on, we will study the different learning theory, the different learning theories, the different experiments, i.e., done by the Skinner, by the Pavlov, and many other scientists, and the psychologists. So, according to the Watson came to regard the conditioning as a key process in all habit formation. So he regard conditioning, and you guys will also learn about the classical conditioning and the type of conditioning. Okay, Watson came to regard the conditioning as a key process. Okay, this is a very important process in all habit formation. All habit that are formed are due to the conditioning or due to the condition. So this is the main point which was stressed by the Watson. Then come the Watson concept of stimulus and response, okay, which he led him to the extreme environmentalism. Environmentalism is the fifth principle, and Watson concept of stimulus and response led him to the extreme environmentalism. What is environmentalism? So environmentalism means that environment play a vital role, a very important role in the formation of the personality and designing the personality of a person. And his environmentalism is also it could be also exemplified and has often cited statement, and that is the statement which I told you guys that I will teach you at the end of this video. So let's go to the next slide, but before we go to the next slide, please subscribe my YouTube channel and hit the bell icon so that you could receive all my videos on times. Okay, so let's go to the next slide, and that is the famous Watson saying. Watson said, "Give me a dozen healthy infants, well formed, in my own specified world to bring them up, and I will guarantee to take anyone at random and train him to become any type of specialist. I might select doctor, lawyer, artist, merchant, and yes, even beggarman and thief, regardless of his talent, tendencies, abilities, vocations, and race of his ancestors." So, this is the famous saying which I promise you guys to tell you about, and it is often cited and it is often pointed by the different people and the different experts. Okay, so Watson said that if you people gave me a dozen healthy infants mean which are physically healthy, well formed, they have a good body gestures, body posture, body and organ formation, and in my own specified world which I want to bring them off, and I will ensure you people, I will guarantee you people to take anyone at random and train him to become any type of specialist. So if you focus on these words, he is stressing on the rule of the environment, and the rule of the environment in the formation of the personality of a kid. Why? Because he said, if I select one of these kids and I want to make him a doctor, so I will provide training and environment of such a type that eventually this child will grow up and will become is a doctor. And then if I want a child, any of these 12 children randomly, so I will make a life from it, an artist, a merchant, and people like that, and yes, even a beggar, a man, and a thief, regardless of his talent, tendencies, abilities, vocation, and race of his ancestors. So he totally ignored the role of the hereditary characters. Okay, heredity. So let's go further and what's next. Let's see. That is, let's come to the criticism. Importance of genetically determined behavior was minimized. Unconscious was never mentioned. On positive side, Watson made psychology more objective and method in terminology. They contributed and the recognition of the role of environmental and situational variable in behavior. Okay, guys, and that is the end of our class. I hope you would have learned about the behaviorism school of thought. For more detail, you could visit my YouTube channel, Learn Psychology with Sajad Ahmad. Till next videos. Allah Hafiz. Wassalam. Pakistan. Zindabad.